The Galactic Council Chamber, a vast domed structure orbiting the gas giant Velcorus Prime, was a place of calm deliberation and cosmic authority. Its vaulted ceilings glowed with soft, pulsating lights that mirrored the harmony of the galaxy's countless civilizations. But today, there was no calm. Today, the chamber seethed with unease. Representatives from the most advanced species in the galaxy, the towering Quarath, the crystalline Ceravine, the insectoid Cathara, and countless others, huddled in heated debate. Their usual dignity was replaced with tension, their alien features twitching in agitation. At the center of the chamber stood the sovereign arbiter, the ultimate authority of the Galactic Council, whose normally composed demeanor now betrayed deep concern. "The data is irrefutable," a Ceravine representative declared, their crystalline form shimmering in the Council's light. "The humans are evolving faster than any species in recorded history. Their scientific advancements, their military strategies, their ability to adapt, it's unprecedented." A holographic projection flickered into view in the middle of the chamber. It displayed Earth's recent history, highlighting humanity's extraordinary progression over mere centuries. Faster than light travel, terraforming barren worlds, and an uncanny ability to repel far superior alien forces in skirmishes. "This isn't about their advancements," the Quarath representative boomed, his deep voice reverberating through the chamber. "It's about their nature. They are unpredictable, resourceful, and above all, relentless. They do not yield even when outmatched. We've all witnessed it." The Cathara delegate, a creature with 6 iridescent eyes, clicked its mandibles nervously. "Our emissaries observed humans on the frontier world of Arcanus IV," it said in a high-pitched tone. "They turned a barren wasteland into a thriving colony in mere years, using methods even our brightest scientists cannot explain. And, when the neighboring Sarthan raiders attacked, the humans not only defended themselves but drove the raiders back, without advanced technology." The chamber fell silent as the sovereign arbiter raised a hand. "Enough," he said, his voice low but commanding. "The question is not whether humanity is dangerous. They have proven that they are. The question is, what do we do about it?" A chilling silence settled over the chamber as the council grappled with the implications. On the surface, humanity appeared to be just another young species finding its place in the galaxy. But beneath their seemingly humble exterior lay a power that terrified even the most ancient civilizations. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Council faced an existential question. Could they contain humanity's potential, or would they be forced to confront a future where humans stood at the apex of the galaxy? The Galactic Council's debates rarely reached the attention of the wider galaxy. Most species viewed it as an ancient ceremonial body, a place for outdated treaties and hollow discussions. But today's topic was different, carrying implications so vast that even the most powerful empires had begun to stir uneasily. Thesa, human species, once dismissed as a minor backwater civilization from an unremarkable planet, was now the focus of the galaxy's most powerful entities. In just a few centuries, humanity had defied all expectations. They had risen from fragmented nations to a united force capable of rivaling the greatest galactic powers. What disturbed the Council most was not just their rapid technological advancement, but their unorthodox thinking, their refusal to follow the predictable paths other species had taken. The Council's intelligence reports were alarming. Humans had developed warp drives that were faster and more efficient than those of species millennia older. They had colonized inhospitable worlds, others deemed worthless, using methods that blended ingenuity, resilience, and sheer audacity. They had forged alliances not through intimidation or conquest, but by appealing to shared struggles, winning over even species historically hostile to outsiders. The Galactic Council's greatest fear was that humanity wasn't just advancing, it was reshaping the very fabric of galactic power dynamics. On Earth's capital city of New Sol, in Naue, the heart of the Terran Union, President Maya Ilara stood before a massive crowd gathered in Liberty Square. Her voice rang out over the sea of humanity, as she addressed their growing reputation in the galaxy. "They fear us," she said, her tone both proud and defiant. "Not because we threaten them, but because we refuse to be bound by their expectations. They fear our resilience, our creativity, and our unity, and they are right to fear us." Behind her stood a holographic display showcasing humanity's achievements: terraformed colonies, starships cutting through nebulae, and alliances forged with unlikely partners. To humanity, these were symbols of progress, of their determination to survive and thrive. But to the Council, they were signs of a species that refused to stay within the lines drawn by history. Meanwhile, aboard the Council's orbital station above Velcoris Prime, the Sovereign Arbiter reviewed the latest reports with his advisors. "Humans are not like us," said Morelk, a veteran strategist from the Saravine species. His crystalline body glinted as he gestured toward the holographic map of human space. "They do not rely on tradition or predictability. They adapt in ways we cannot anticipate. Even their failures make them stronger." The Arbiter frowned. "Then how do we counter them? If they are as adaptable as you say, every plan we devise will be met with some unforeseen strategy." Morelk hesitated, his crystalline form dimming slightly. "Perhaps containment is no longer an option. Perhaps we must consider—" "Extermination?" interrupted General Zorath of the Korath, his booming voice drawing attention from across the chamber. "Do not underestimate their resilience. The more pressure we apply, the harder they will fight. And if we fail to eliminate them completely, we will only fuel their determination." The Arbiter's gaze lingered on the map of human expansion. "No," he said finally. "Extermination would unite them even further. But we cannot allow their unchecked rise to continue. We must find another way." The Council had made a critical error from the outset. Like many civilizations before them, they had assumed humanity would follow the same trajectory as other young species: sluggish growth, gradual integration into galactic society, and eventual submission to the established order. But humanity had shattered that assumption at every turn. Their first encounter with the Galactic Council had been a disaster. A delegation of humans had arrived at the Council's core station, eager to negotiate trade agreements and establish alliances. The Council, dismissive and aloof, had treated them as an inferior species, denying them access to critical technologies and treaties. Rather than capitulate, humanity had turned inward, developing its own solutions and fostering a fierce independence. When the Council's emissaries later attempted to impose sanctions on human colonies for violating territorial protocols, humanity's response had been swift and decisive. They dismantled the sanctions using clever diplomacy, economic maneuvering, and, when necessary, military force. This series of events had cemented humanity's reputation as unpredictable and unyielding. To the Council, it was as if humanity had been born with an innate understanding of how to navigate the galaxy's complexities, bending its rules to their will. As tensions escalated, humanity's leaders prepared for the inevitable confrontation. President Alara called for a summit with her top military commanders and scientists aboard the flagship Resolve. "Make no mistake," Alara said, her voice steady. "The Council doesn't fear our ships or our weapons. They fear our future. They fear what we might become if we are given time, and they will stop at nothing to contain us." Her words galvanized the room. Scientists unveiled prototypes for new technologies, advanced cloaking systems, modular starships, and biotechnological enhancements designed to give humanity an edge in any conflict. Military commanders discussed strategies for asymmetric warfare, knowing that direct confrontation with the Council's combined fleets would be suicidal. Humanity's plan was clear: survive, adapt, and outthink the galaxy's most powerful forces. Back in the Council chamber, the Sovereign Arbiter delivered a final verdict to the assembled representatives. "The future of this galaxy is uncertain," he said gravely. "But one thing is clear: humanity is a threat we cannot ignore. Prepare for every contingency, for their unpredictability is their greatest weapon." The stage was set. On one side, a young and defiant species determined to carve out its place in the stars. On the other, a coalition of ancient powers desperate to maintain their dominance. Neither side knew how the coming storm would end, but one truth loomed over all. Humanity's future would reshape the galaxy forever. The first strike didn't come from humanity. It came from the Galactic Council. Veiled as a peacekeeping operation, the Council dispatched a fleet of warships to blockade the critical trade routes connecting human colonies. Supplies of essential resources dwindled as ships carrying food, medicine, and industrial materials were intercepted. The Council's intention was clear: to bring humanity to its knees without firing a shot. But humanity's response was anything but predictable. On the frontier colony of Altaris IV, Commander Aiden Vale, a young but brilliant strategist, watched the blockade unfold on the holographic war table in his command center. "They've locked down the main trade lanes," Aiden said, gesturing at the glowing red lines representing the Council's fleet. "But they're not patrolling the asteroid fields to the south. It's risky. But we can slip through with smaller cargo ships." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Farah Jin, frowned. "The asteroid fields are unstable. One wrong calculation, and those ships will be pulverized." Aiden smirked. "Then we won't use human pilots. Prep the drones. Let's show the Council what ingenuity looks like." Within hours, a fleet of automated cargo drones loaded with supplies zipped through the treacherous asteroid field. The drones used adaptive algorithms, dodging debris with uncanny precision. The Council's warships, unable to navigate the asteroids with their massive bulk, watched helplessly as humanity's lifeline remained intact. The blockade had failed. The Council escalated, deploying strike teams to sabotage human infrastructure on key colonies. Factories were bombed, communication relays hacked, and power grids disabled. The intent was to sow chaos and fear, but instead, it united humanity further. On New Europa, a bustling colony on the edge of human space, the sabotage left half the colony in darkness. But instead of despair, the people rallied. Engineers worked tirelessly to rebuild, while civilians formed community brigades to protect critical facilities. Humanity's adaptability shone brightest when faced with adversity. Using repurposed equipment and salvaged parts, New Europa's citizens rebuilt their power grid in record time, incorporating innovations that made it more efficient than before. The Council's spies, embedded among the human population, reported back with growing alarm. "They don't crumble," one spy said in a message to the Arbiter. "Every obstacle we throw at them only makes them stronger." While the Council underestimated humanity's resilience, they also overlooked humanity's capacity for empathy. On the war-torn world of Sarek Prime, the Council had long suppressed the native Saurans, a reptilian species forced into servitude. The Saurans were considered primitive and incapable of contributing to galactic society. But when a human expeditionary force landed on Sarek Prime, they didn't come as conquerors. Instead, they came bearing supplies and weapons, not for themselves, but for the Saurans. Major Elena Carter, the mission leader, stood before a gathering of Sauran elders. "The Council has oppressed your people for centuries," she said, her voice echoing through the cavernous chamber. "They think you're weak, incapable. We see something different. We see potential. Join us, and we'll help you rise." Though we, Saurans, wary at first, eventually accepted humanity's offer. Together they launched a coordinated assault on the Council's garrison, liberating the planet. The victory sent shockwaves through the galaxy. In the aftermath of Sarek Prime's liberation, the Council convened an emergency session. Reports of humanity's victories and their growing alliances spread like wildfire. "How are they doing this?" demanded General Zorath, his voice tinged with desperation. "We have superior numbers, superior technology." "It's not about technology," replied Morelk, the Saravine strategist. "It's about their mindset. Humanity thrives in chaos. They turn setbacks into opportunities and enemies into allies." The Arbiter leaned forward, his expression grim. "We must act decisively. Humanity is not just defying us. They're rallying others to their cause." If we don't stop them now, the balance of power in the galaxy will shift irreversibly. The Council launched its most ambitious attack yet. The deployment of the Vanguard fleet, an elite armada equipped with the galaxy's most advanced weaponry. The fleet descended upon the human stronghold of Eos Prime, a heavily industrialized planet critical to humanity's war effort. Admiral Kale Drennan, commanding the human defense forces, stared at the holographic display of the Vanguard fleet. "They outnumber us 3-1, he muttered. "And their tech, we've never faced anything like this." "But we've faced worse odds before," said Captain Leora Hayes, his trusted advisor. "We just need to fight smarter." The humans used a combination of guerrilla tactics and unconventional strategies. They deployed stealth drones to disrupt the enemy fleet's communications, rendering their coordination ineffective. On the ground, small strike teams sabotaged key installations, turning the Council's technological superiority into a liability. One pivotal moment came when a human engineer, Dr. Ethan Voss, hacked into the Vanguard fleet's AI systems. Using nothing but a modified neural interface and an old salvaged relay, he sent a virus that disabled the targeting systems of the Council's warships. The humans didn't win through brute force, they won through sheer ingenuity. For the Council's soldiers and officers, the battles against humanity were becoming nightmares. The humans didn't fight like any species they had encountered before. They didn't rely on predictable tactics or superior numbers. Instead, they adapted to every situation, using creativity, teamwork, and an unyielding will to survive. A Council soldier, captured during the battle for Eos Prime, spoke to his human captors with a mix of fear and admiration. "You're like fire," he said. "We try to smother you, but you only spread. How do you keep going even when everything is against you?" Captain Hayes smiled faintly. "Because we don't know how to stop. It's just who we are." As the Council reeled from its defeats, whispers began to spread among its member species. Some began to question the Council's authority, wondering if humanity's defiance was a sign that the galaxy needed change. On the distant world of Okaris, a Quarath diplomat secretly approached a human envoy. "The Council sees you as a threat," he said. "But some of us see you as an opportunity. Perhaps it's time for a new order, one that includes humanity." The tide was turning, and humanity's future grew brighter with every passing day. But the battles were far from over. For all their victories, humanity knew the Council would not give up so easily. The real challenge was yet to come. The rising action set the stage for a climax that would determine the fate of humanity and the galaxy itself. The Galactic Council's ultimate response came in the form of Project Eclipse, a secret weapon developed to ensure humanity's downfall. The weapon wasn't just a fleet or a single destructive device. It was an artificial intelligence known as Aegis Prime, designed to analyze and predict every possible outcome of human resistance. Aegis Prime could outthink even the most ingenious human strategies. The Council dispatched Aegis Prime along with the Apex Armada, the largest and most advanced fleet ever assembled. Their target, Earth, humanity's cradle, and the heart of the Terran Union. In orbit above Earth, the Terran Defense Fleet prepared for what would likely be its final battle. On the bridge of the flagship Resolve, Admiral Kale Drennan addressed his crew. "They think they've outsmarted us," he began, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "They think their machines can predict our every move. But they forget one thing. We are not predictable. We've fought the impossible before, and we'll do it again. We're not fighting for power or dominance. We're fighting for our home, our people, and our future." The Armada emerged from hyperspace, a glittering wall of destruction that stretched across the void. At its center was Aegis Prime, housed in a fortress-like dreadnought bristling with weaponry. The AI immediately began its calculations, projecting human fleet movements and vulnerabilities with chilling accuracy. The initial exchange was brutal. The Council's ships moved with surgical precision, cutting through human lines with devastating efficiency. For every human ship destroyed, the Apex Armada seemed to lose none. But humanity had anticipated this. Admiral Drennan had authorized A desperate plan. A series of feints and misdirections designed to overload Aegis Prime's predictive algorithms. Small, fast-moving strike teams began attacking seemingly random targets, creating chaos that the AI struggled to interpret. Captain Leora Hayes led one such team aboard the Vanguard, a stealth frigate tasked with drawing enemy fire. Her crew used advanced cloaking technology to evade detection, striking critical supply ships and retreating before the enemy could respond. "We can't match them head-on," Leora said over the comms, her voice calm despite the chaos around her. "But we don't have to. We just need to keep them guessing." On the surface of Earth, humanity's scientists worked frantically to counter Aegis Prime. Dr. Ethan Voss, the same engineer who had previously hacked the Council's fleet, now faced the challenge of his life, disabling an AI so advanced that it had no known weaknesses. "It's not just a machine," Ethan said to his team. "It's a learning entity. But if we can outsmart it, if we can force it to miscalculate, we might have a chance." Ethan's plan involved using an ancient, outdated network buried beneath Earth's surface, a relic of humanity's earliest attempts at global communication. The network, riddled with inefficiencies and redundancies, was something no modern AI could fully analyze. As Ethan and his team worked, the battle in orbit raged on. Human ships used their ingenuity to keep the Apex Armada at bay, employing holographic decoys, electronic warfare, and unconventional maneuvers. The tide of battle shifted when Aegis Prime identified the location of Earth's command center and directed a massive strike force to destroy it. Admiral Drennan realized that if the command center fell, humanity's defenses would collapse. He made the ultimate decision. Ordering the majority of the fleet to continue the fight, Drennan personally led a small squadron of ships to intercept the incoming strike force. On board the Resolve, Drennan's final message to his crew resonated with courage and resolve. "We've come too far to give up now. If this is the end, let it be an end that inspires generations to come. Humanity will endure, no matter the cost." The Resolve and its escort ships engaged the strike force in a desperate battle, holding the line long enough for Earth's defenses to regroup. The sacrifice of Drennan and his crew became a rallying cry for humanity, igniting a fierce determination across the fleet. As Aegis Prime recalibrated its strategy, Dr. Voss completed his plan. Using the old network, he transmitted a cascade of false data directly into the AI's core, creating a paradox it couldn't resolve. The AI faltered. For the first time, its calculations slowed, its projections diverging wildly. The Council's fleet hesitated, confused by the sudden lack of coordination. Seizing the opportunity, humanity launched a full-scale counterattack. Ships that had been on the defensive now surged forward, exploiting the gaps in the enemy formation. Strike teams boarded Council dreadnoughts, disabling their weapons and turning their own firepower against them. Leora Hayes and her team infiltrated the fortress housing Aegis Prime, planting charges at key points in its structure. As the countdown ticked away, Leora sent a final message to Earth. "This is for everyone who believed in us. For every life lost, every sacrifice made, humanity will never be silenced." The explosion ripped through the dreadnought, obliterating Aegis Prime and shattering the morale of the Council's fleet. With the destruction of Aegis Prime, the Council's forces retreated, their unity broken. Humanity had won the battle, but the cost was immense. Earth's orbit was littered with the debris of countless ships, a grim reminder of the sacrifices made. As the remaining human fleet regrouped, President Maya Ilara addressed the galaxy in a broadcast carried across human and alien channels alike. "To the Galactic Council," she said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion in her eyes. "You sought to break us, but you only made us stronger. We do not seek domination or war, but we will defend our right to exist. Today we proved that resilience, creativity, and unity can overcome even the most impossible odds." Her words resonated not just with humanity, but with countless others across the galaxy who had suffered under the Council's rule. Humanity's victory was not just their own. It was a symbol of hope for all those yearning for freedom and justice. The climax ended with humanity standing victorious, bloodied but unbowed, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring next. The silence following the Council's retreat was deafening. Where moments before the void above Earth had been filled with the roar of battle, now there was only the hum of life support systems and the soft crackle of damaged comm channels. Survivors across the fleet stared out of their view screens at the debris field orbiting Earth, a grim testament to the battle that had just ended. Ships floated lifeless, wreckage drifted aimlessly, and the faint glimmer of distant stars seemed muted. But amidst the devastation, there was hope, a fragile, flickering ember that had survived the storm. On the surface of Earth, President Maya, Ilara stood atop the balcony of Unity Tower, overlooking the sprawling cities below. Thousands of people gathered, a mix of grief and triumph on their faces. Broadcasts from every human colony streamed her image, and her voice carried to the farthest reaches of the Terran Union. "Today we proved that humanity's spirit cannot be extinguished," Maya began, her voice steady but laden with emotion. "We mourn the countless lives lost, heroes who gave everything so that we might live. We honor their sacrifice by ensuring their legacy endures." Across human colonies, makeshift memorials sprang up. Families lit candles, children placed flowers, and survivors recounted tales of bravery and resilience. The name of Admiral Cale Drennan was etched into history as a symbol of unyielding courage, his sacrifice inspiring generations to come. In the Council's grand chamber, the mood was tense. Representatives from dozens of species debated in hushed tones, their voices tinged with both fear and disbelief. Humanity's triumph had shaken the foundations of their power, exposing vulnerabilities they had long denied. "They should not have been able to defeat us," growled General Zorath, slamming his clawed hand against the table. "Our fleets, our technology, how did it fail?" Mrelk, the Saravine strategist, sighed. "It's not just their technology or tactics. It's their spirit. Humanity is unlike anything we've faced. They adapt, endure, and rise above every challenge. They've united not just themselves, but others who share their vision." Whispers spread throughout the chamber. Member species that had long resented the Council's dominance saw humanity as a potential ally, a force that could bring balance to a galaxy long ruled by fear. The aftermath of the war sent ripples across the galaxy. On liberated planets like Sarek Prime, once oppressed species began to rise, inspired by humanity's defiance. The Saurans, newly freed from the Council's grasp, formally allied themselves with the Terran Union, pledging their resources and loyalty. Other species followed, cautiously reaching out to humanity. Diplomatic envoys traveled to Earth, their perspectives on the upstart species forever changed. Some sought alliances, others offered trade agreements, and a few extended simple gestures of peace. Humanity, once seen as a minor player in galactic politics, now stood as a symbol of resilience and defiance, a force that could no longer be ignored. Despite the victory, the scars of the war ran deep. Entire fleets had been lost, cities devastated, and countless lives forever altered. Humanity's leaders understood that their survival was only the first step in a much longer journey. Dr. Ethan Voss, recovering from his injuries in a hospital on Earth, reflected on the battle's outcome. "We may have won," he said to his team, "but the galaxy is vast and the Council isn't finished. This was a beginning, not an end. We need to be ready for what comes next." The Terran Union began rebuilding, drawing strength from their shared struggles. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair damaged ships. Scientists studied alien technology salvaged from the battlefield, and strategists planned for the conflicts yet to come. Humanity's collective focus turned not just toward survival, but toward growth, innovation, and exploration. As the Terran Union rebuilt, President Ilara sent a message to the galaxy, carried on the frequencies once dominated by the Council. "To all who hear this," she said, her voice resolute, "know that humanity does not seek to conquer or oppress. We stand for freedom, unity, and the right of all species to determine their own futures. To the oppressed, we offer solidarity. To the oppressors, a warning: we will not falter and we will not stand alone." The message echoed across the stars, resonating in the hearts of species both near and far. It marked the dawn of a new era, one where humanity's resilience and courage reshaped the galaxy's power dynamics. In the quiet aftermath, Captain Leora Hayes stood on the bridge of her repaired ship, gazing out at the stars. "They underestimated us," she said softly, her voice tinged with both pride and sorrow. "And maybe they'll underestimate us again. But now, they know what we're capable of." As humanity looked to the future, the question lingered. Would the galaxy embrace the change humanity represented, or would it resist? For now, one thing was certain. Humanity, battered but unbroken, stood ready for whatever lay ahead, their future no longer dictated by fear, but by possibility. And somewhere, in the far reaches of the galaxy, the Council watched, their fear growing with every passing day.